I'm Ryan from ExtremeTerrain.com, and this is my review and installation of the Rugged Ridge front skid plate fitting all 2007 and up Wranglers. Today we're going to talk through the installation of this skid plate, which I am going to give a 2 out of 3 wrenches. If you have a 2010 and newer JK, you are going to have to do a little bit of cutting and drilling to get this installed, but we'll talk more about that in just a second. This skid plate is for those of you who are looking to add a little bit of additional protection to the front of your Jeep and give your Jeep a little bit more of a finished look. If you're not running the factory splash guard or you have an aftermarket front bumper, you can see a lot of the steering components underneath the front of the Jeep, and adding the skid plate will make things look a little bit cleaner. You'll also get a little bit of protection from the skid plate, although there's not much in the area that this covers that needs protecting. If you're a Rubicon owner, of course you will have your electronic sway bar disconnect, which this will do a nice job of protecting. But if you're not a Rubicon owner, again, there's not a lot that's going to be protected by this skid plate. Skid plate is going to be a fairly easy install for those of you who have a 2007 to 2009 JK, a little bit more difficult for those of you with the 10 and up, but if you're willing to do a little bit of cutting and drilling on your crash bar, this can still be installed. This skid plate is built of 1/4-inch steel that's covered in a textured black powder coat finish, and for a fairly small skid plate, it does have a good bit of weight to it. This thing is very well built, and again, if you do need protection in that area because you're a Rubicon owner, this is going to do a really nice job of protecting that electronic sway bar disconnect. So we are going to give this a 2 out of 3 wrenches for installation difficulty because there is some cutting and drilling required for those of you with the 2010 and up JK. If you do have a 2007 to 2009, this process is going to be much simpler. Whether you have a Rubicon or not, the first step is going to be removing your sway bar bushing bolts, the bolts that hold the sway bar to the Jeep. If you have a Rubicon, you'll completely remove them. A non-Rubicon, you can just loosen them up a little bit, and you're going to slide some brackets in between the frame and that bracket. Then you can go ahead and tighten those bolts down again. Those brackets are going to hold part of your new skid plate in place. The rest of the skid plate does get bolted onto the crash bar, and that's where you're going to have to do some additional cutting and trimming if you do have a newer JK. This whole install is probably going to take you around 2 hours. That will vary depending on what type of cutting tool you decide to use and what year your Jeep is. I would recommend using an air-powered cutoff wheel. That will make cutting that crash bar, if you need to do so, a very simple process. You can get away with any other number of cutting tools as well. You're also going to need a drill if you have one of those newer JKs, and some other traditional hand tools. This skid plate runs around $200, and if you're a Rubicon owner and you're looking to protect your very expensive electronic sway bar disconnect, I would definitely recommend going with this, and I think that it is a fair price. If you're a non-Rubicon owner, as I said before, I don't think you're going to get as much protection from this as you are going to get a more finished look on the front of your Jeep, and then it comes down to your budget and what you want. At that point, you're really purchasing an aesthetic modification that costs around $200. To some of you, that's going to be worth it. To some of you, that's going to be a little bit steep. So if you're looking to add a front skid plate onto your JK, either because you need it for the protection or you just like the more finished look that it lends to your Jeep from the front, this is going to be a very well-built option if you have the budget for it. So that's my review of the Rugged Ridge front skid plate fitting all 2007 and up JKs that you can find right here at ExtremeTerrain.com.